there. How are you today? I just wanted to pop in here and chat with you a little bit about more about content. And today I'm specifically addressing why your content doesn't have to be perfect. So if you think about it, everybody, including you, are creating content probably every single day. In your business, maybe every single day you're creating something. It could be like a Facebook post, it could be a Facebook Live like I'm doing right here, a podcast. It could even be a course that you're creating for your clients or for your students or updating it or whatever. No matter what, I bet you are creating content in your business. So last week I had an epiphany and a couple of great stories I'm going to share with you here today about why your content doesn't have to be perfect. But let's just give you an overview about what I'm going to talk to you here today in this broadcast. Why it doesn't need to be perfect. I've already covered that a little bit, but the two things it does need to be, and how to create content that is attractive to your audience and build your business. But before we dive into today's discussion, I just want to take a minute to introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. I'm Kristen Poborski, and I help business and life coaches dial in their content creation strategy and systems to help them attract more clients and prospects into their coaching practices. I've built a rapid content creation system and the smart, simple content creation framework that teaches people how to do this. But anyways, today I really want to just talk to you about why your content doesn't have to be perfect. And again, this applies whether it's a written piece of content that you're creating for your blog. It could be a Facebook Live like I'm doing right here. It could be a podcast. It could be a video. It could be anything. So let me just start with a short story here because it all came up last week. I was having a conversation, a coaching conversation, and we were talking about content. And, I was saying something about, why it's so easy to hide out and not create content and for sure not go live or do videos, because it's unnerving at times to really just get in front of a camera like this, no notes, well I actually have notes, but no written script, and just speak from the heart. So last week, and it's easy to hide out rather than doing that. And so last week I did a Facebook Live. If you watched it or not, I kind of flubbed up on it. I always come to these things, I have a written kind of like what I'm going to talk about. And I was looking through it and fumbling around because I kind of get inside my head when I'm talking. And I skipped over kind of everything I was going to say. So, the gist of the conversation with the coaching conversation was really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you flub up a little bit or, forget your script when you're talking. It's maybe a bigger deal with its written content and stuff like that. You've got Grammarly and other things that are going to help you create great content. So it doesn't matter as much there because you can kind of catch your mistakes. But if it's a podcast that you're doing live or you're recording something on video, it's kind of hard to cover up those little flubs or whatever, a hair in front of your face or not following the scripts or whatever. The point is, it's okay. And that was the thing that I learned from that conversation, is that when you just get on here and you talk from the heart, or you write something that comes flowing right out from your heart, people understand that. People get that. That gets them connected better to you. So let's kind of dive into, what your content, more about why it doesn't need to be content perfect. But, that again, the grammatical errors, things like that. It's okay to just let things flow, whether, like I said, it's written or via a video or whatever. Like the best videos are unscripted videos. Trust me, I know I've seen a lot of them in my many years of content creation and content management. Sometimes the ones that are the oldest and maybe most unscripted or not fancy or beautiful or perfect are the ones that resonate with your audience the most. So I really want you to just stop worrying about everything being perfect all the time, okay? Just get out there and start creating content. So I just, again, I see so many people overthinking their content and just getting stopped in overwhelm, overthinking, not knowing, wondering what's the right thing to say. There is no right thing to say. Just say what you know, okay? So let me just, I want to share another story that kind of just coincides with this, is that in one of my people that I work with, he is a very busy coaching practice, and sometimes it's really hard for him to sit down and create a piece of content every single week. But, we talked about it last week, and I just said, hey, people need to hear from you. So he's really good about shifting his perspective from something, resisting and making it too hard or whatever. So he sat down and he wrote this piece of content in less than 30 minutes. He has a way of, he just dictates it and then he edits it over in Google Docs, right? So it just flowed from his mind. And as a result, when we talked this week about it, he said, oh my gosh, I got so many comments from that one piece of content. So you see, A, it's okay to flub up like I did, and B, it's just okay to just change your mindset, sit down for 30 minutes and just let whatever you're going to talk about or write about just flow from your pen, okay? So again, I want you to stop thinking about creating perfect content and instead think about how you can get your thoughts quickly onto paper, or just make an outline, go live on Facebook and talk just like I am here. You might see me looking down. That's just so I can, keep an eye on that I'm going in the right direction with what I want to tell you, right? Okay, so let's talk about the 3 things that your content does need to be, okay? Number 1, it needs to be relevant to your audience. So what that means is that you got to know who your audience is and who you're talking to. You need to know their pain points, what they're struggling with, and not just always about them. It has to align with what you're doing in your business, your objectives. So say you're a relationship coach, you don't want to be talking about, you're just focusing on relationships and things like that. Then you might not want to be talking about mindset, right? Or for me, I don't want to, if I'm focusing just on content, I may not want to be talking about, say, digital marketing or a bigger thing when I want to really hone in on one specific aspect, okay? But it needs to be aligned with what you do in your business, okay? So just remember that. And you really got to understand what pain points that they are struggling with. You also might want to do a little research, see what's resonating with people out there, but for sure, take that content idea and write it from your own heart. Okay, so number 2, it needs to be helpful. Now that doesn't mean giving away all the answers and everything that you share with people who pay you. They have to pay for that. So you do want to be helpful. You want to get them in the right direction. And sometimes it's as simple as getting them to shift their perspective on something. So that's what you want to do. You want to get them thinking and believing that they can solve the problem, maybe give them the first step to solving the problem or whatever, but you basically want to be removing their blocks, okay? So they get them to think, oh yeah, I can do this. That's why I'm here. I want you to start creating content and not worrying about it being so darn perfect and taking a long time. So if you just kind of let it flow, it's going to take a lot less time. Okay, so number 3, it needs to it needs to tie back into your. Oh, sorry. It also, I'm sorry. See, here I am going again. It needs to tie back into your business. So again, we kind of talked about that, right? So it needs to illuminate a pain point. It needs to stir desire for your products and programs. And it also needs to build a connection. That's why I tell a little story with whatever I'm sharing here on Facebook, because it really illustrates my point, right? I could just sit here and talk about, do this, do that. But if I didn't give you a specific, here's a story about how this worked and what kind of response that coaching client had from creating that piece of content in 30 minutes, it wouldn't make a bit of difference what I'm telling you here. I've got to give you examples. So think of that as well. As you've got to do that, it builds a better connection because people can see that other people are doing, or you might be doing what you're talking about. Okay, so let's talk about a few minutes before we wrap this up about how to create content that is attractive to your audience. So again, let's go over that. You need to know what they're struggling with. So you want to create, make a list of what their pain points are. Those are great categories to start with. You need to take those categories, start researching and seeing what people are responding to in those particular categories. Okay, there's plenty of tools that you can go out there and find. You can use a Google search, you can go look at blogs, you can use things like BuzzSumo, whatever. Just go and do some research. Then you need to pay attention to your numbers. Yep, because that is going to tell you everything about whether or not content is resonating with your audience. So you might even want to start there before you go out and start doing new content ideas, because a lot of people don't even ever look at their Google Analytics to see what is the top pieces of content on their website that is doing all the lifting for them. Okay, so if you take anything away from this Facebook Live here today, this discussion, it's that your content doesn't have to be perfect. Just make up your mind to show up for your audience. They're looking for that from you. That's how you continue to build the connection and convert leads into customers, and you let them know that they need, and let what they need to know flow from your, your words, your written words, whatever it is, but just be okay with whatever comes out. It does not need to be perfect. All right, I'm continuing this conversation over on my private Facebook page, The Successful Coaching Practice. I'd love to have you join me over there. I put the link in the notes below, and you can click on it and join me. And if you have any comments or questions, I'd love to see them here. I'm here to answer anything that you might need help with. Take care and have a great day.